5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, hello. Wherever you are in the world, one of those will apply to you. This is LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die, although I am thinking of renaming it the S&M channel, because that's not Marks and Spencer's the wrong way round. I mean, I must be a sucker for punishment. I've just done 2 hours going through our whole squad, rating them, and I've got to say, there was an A in there from me, and there was an A minus. After that, there was a few U's in there, for those of you that are old enough to remember the old O and A level grades. There was more than a few U's in, and I fell out with Brad over one of them as well. If you missed it, get over onto our LTID TV. The first playlist you come to is the pick. It's our upcoming and latest shows. How bad are this Leicester squad? Bloody awful. There you go. Summed it up in one word for you. Look, it's the 1st of December today. It's Christmas month. And if you're looking for too happy, jolly, 'tis the season to be jolly. No, it's bloody not the season to be jolly at all. It's the season to be totally miserable. New manager bounce? What was that? I mean, have we had a new manager bounce? Well, I tell you what, 4-1 we lost. I guess this evening lost 5-2. You know what that means, don't you? It's going to be 0-0 on Tuesday night. This is the preview show. Leicester City hosting West Ham. Rob, good evening, sir. How the devil are you?
Aside from the football, Chris, I am okay. I'm all right, mate. I am all right.
We said this, didn't we? I mean, the problem is, if it was my wife that was making me this miserable, I could walk out on her. I could divorce her. You know, if it's the kids, I could kick them out of the house now they're of a certain age. But it's my football team, and I can't change it. We're stuck with it, aren't we?
If only it were that simple.
Yes.
You know, phone up your solicitor and say, "Oh, I want to start divorce proceedings against my football club." It's not. It doesn't happen, does it?
No. I mean, I've moved all over the country. I've always supported Leicester, and I came down to Dorset and lived in Poole. And my son said, "Oh, should we start going and having Bournemouth as our second team and go and watch them?" And I went, "No way!" I said, "It'd be like having an affair."
Yeah,
you
can't do it.
No, I did get involved with Poole, but they are in about tier 12 or something like that. So
I don't think that they're ever going to cross paths with Leicester City. In all fairness,
Yes, yeah.
So,
Look, say a few hellos before we get going. Chris, hi, how you doing? David is in. Hiya, David, how you doing? Lox is in from Blue Tinted. How you doing, mate? I hope you had your family round for a meal. I hope you served up stuffing so you could think of the game yesterday, because that's
oh,
what we got. um,
so did
and
we.
well, this is it. I mean, like I say, two Grinches here.
Yeah.
Hello,
And
Nate.
Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. And Nate comes in just to rub it in. He's in Arizona, which is
Oh,
sunny.
lovely.
Oh, Nate. Rob, look, I say it's been a while. Thank you so very much. Your link is in the description below. I'll give a shout out to your channel before we get started.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, so I inhabit a West Ham fan YouTube channel called The West Ham Massive. If any of you very kind souls, whatever your footballing persuasions are, would be kind enough to pop across to The West Ham Massive and just click subscribe, and every now and again pop across there and maybe watch a video for a couple of minutes and drop a like on it. It would really help massively. See what I did there? Massively.
You did. I was impressed with that.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
but
if you
look,
could do that, really would be good. Thank you.
we do pop on into each other's chat, don't we? And we've always made each other very welcome. So there's
Yeah.
banter there, and there's a should be banter. That's what football's all about.
Yes.
But you know, you that's something you can do on Rob's channel, is go on and have a laugh and a joke with him and enjoy. But I was just going to say, because I did pop onto your channel the other night, didn't I?
You did.
And you had a guest on.
Which one?
It was it was the last one you had on, I think. Had a blue shirt on.
Oh, that's my brother.
And that your brother, is it?
He's the ugly one of the pair of us, obviously.
He's the
All
one
that
with
facial
hair.
fuzz.
He's the one with hair. Let me put it that way. Well,
Yeah.
I don't want to remind you, and this was pre-Arsenal kicking off, that I put in saying like, yes, we've got Rude, and he went off quite massively on, oh, just relegate Leicester now. They're absolutely, he's going to take them down. Oh,
He doesn't pull his punches, my brother.
no, and I just really, will you pass a message on to him for me?
Of course.
Yep, 5-2.
Ooh, Chris.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that was the time that the show went out, but that was the score of the match after he had to go.
Was Rude in charge for the game the other day?
No,
He
no.
wasn't.
He
Okay.
was in attendance.
Yeah.
I think that Top had changed into the seat just in case he did a runner.
Yeah.
And I do believe the director of football was there, and I do think he seemed to be shuffling through his book briefcase to make sure that the contract had been signed.
Oh dear.
You know, it was bad. But no, please do give my best to your brother.
Will do, mate.
I thought I would just mention that out of, friendship.
Yeah, as I say, he doesn't pull his punches, does
No,
my brother
no,
Ben.
no.
So
But I'll tell you what, you I think you drew the second half, didn't you? So well done.
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sort of take any solace out of that, Chris. And to be honest with you, Arsenal had won the game in the first half, and they just were in cruise control for the second half. Anyone that looks at the stats might be fooled into thinking, okay, West Ham, it was 0-0 in the second half. The stats look a lot better in the second half. West Ham must have made a bit of a comeback. Nope. It was just Arsenal keeping us at arm's length. It's like when a cat plays with a half-dead mouse. That's basically what was going on there, mate. That was pretty much it.
Are you describing your match, or are you describing our match?
No, that was, well, I mean, I haven't actually seen the Leicester game. I know obviously the score line, but you know, I don't want to sort of depress myself by seeing another team sort of like doing sort of equally as badly as what we've been doing lately. So, you know, it's quite enough to see my lot getting smashed to bits at home. So I don't need to sort of see it sort of like anybody else going through that pain.
Well, we've been through a lot of pain, and just bear with me because I realised then that there was a slide that we could have talked over for that, but I will bring it back up because I do want to. There we go, preview show. I do want to talk about it because yes, like I said, as weekends go, it was one to be forgotten. Now, let's go to the game first. I think if I've loaded it up, there we go, in the right place. 5-2. It was at home. Arsenal, who hadn't been on brilliant form up till this game. Your manager will come on to talk about him in particularly more detail. I thought could be the next to go. He saved himself with the Newcastle game. Were you that bad?
What, yesterday? Oh, we was awful. We was absolutely. It was men against boys, mate. What can I tell you? We got absolutely rinsed in the first half. We was all over the place, and it's really frustrating because obviously the Newcastle game, you sort of go and you think, okay, well, we're going up to Newcastle on a Monday night. We're probably going to get done. We'll then have Arsenal. We'll probably get done. The manager will probably get sacked. Blah blah blah. Great team performance away at Newcastle. I can't lie that I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
And we were good value for that 2-0 win. And I think we could have won it by more if we'd have had our shooting boots on. But we did enough to win the game, and I thought we deserved it. And then obviously yesterday happened, and you're back to square one. It's it's one step forward, one step back.
Yeah. Looking at ours, we had the same sort of day as you yesterday. We actually went ahead, which I think is very, very rare for us this season. And of course, we poked the bear, didn't we? Because we weren't very happy with that. I think we were ahead for about 3 minutes, and then within the space of like 10 minutes, they got 3 goals. I mean, earlier on, I did that, as I said at the start, that show earlier, the player rating show. And as I look down here, I've got 1 U, a U minus, a U, a U. You remember the old markings, don't you?
Yeah.
There's a couple of A's in there. One of them is Jamie Vardy, which kind of says it all, really. What shocked me was the fact that, all right, Rude wasn't taking over. He hadn't really got enough time. He'd only flown in that day. I thought he might have nipped down to the dressing room, but I think he decided to let Ben Dawson just go with it, and he could see what he'd got, much like Brendan Rodgers when he took over. And I thought, well, hang on here. The players know that their new manager's in the stand. Know they're going to put on a bit of a performance to impress him. Oh, my God, how wrong could I be? I mean, they couldn't pass win, let alone a football. I've got to say, we got stuffed, but I know when we sacked Brendan Rodgers and Adam, whatever he was called, took over, who was one of his coaches, all he did was say, well, look, Brendan Rodgers has picked these players. I'm going to pick these players. Brendan Rodgers plays this style and this, I'm going to. Now, Ben Dawson did come in and he did change it around with the formation. 3 at the back with the 2 wing backs, etc. Yes, we got stuffed. Yes, the performance was bad, but at least he tried something different. He didn't just go for the same old, this didn't work for Cooper, so I'm going to try it on. But looking at those games, like I said, it's going to be 0-0 on Tuesday night, isn't it?
Yeah, it probably will be, mate. I don't know. I don't think either team, actually, in all seriousness, though, I don't think either team are strong defensively enough to keep a clean sheet on Tuesday night, are they? I think we're gonna say so. It will probably be we'll cancel each other out with our sort of equal level of crapness, but it'll probably be a 1-1 draw because neither of us will be strong enough defensively to keep a clean sheet. So I see that it will probably. Personally, I think a 1-1 draw, and I'll be straight. Going away in the form that we're in, I know some people would say setting your sights a little bit low, but I think if you can go away to any Premier League ground, and Leicester you're going to be fighting for every point. You're going to be scrapping for every point. The new manager bounce as well is something that's a factor. If you offered me a point, I'd probably take it if I'm being honest, and that might seem a little bit lacking in ambition. Some people would probably say, but I'm like, look, a waypoint is never really a bad thing.
No. You know, if you draw all your away games, then you got a very, very good chance of maybe even sneaking into Europe. Look, I want to talk about this guy. No, I don't. That's the table. But we'll look at the table first. I forgot what order I've done this. I tell you, I'm depressed myself today. Did you expect to be this sort of place at the start of the season?
Do you know what? It's one of those, Chris. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I always had it in the back of my mind that we're bringing in a new coach. We're bringing in all these new players. And I remember, and sorry to name drop, but it's someone that you know. I remember talking to Tony Cottee about sort of just talking football, really. We had him on a sort of like a chit chat, and he turned around and he said about the season, and it was a couple of seasons ago under David Moyes when there was another sort of chapter in our history when there was a lot of players moving out, a lot of players moving in. And he turned around and said that he always thought that wasn't a particularly good thing necessarily, because you've got all those new players that you've got to embed in the club, and they've got to sort of like get to know their teammates and blah, blah, blah. And that was always the thing. Although I did get caught up in the hysteria and the sort of, oh, brilliant, we've signed this player. Oh, we've signed another player. Oh, it's brilliant, this, that, and the other. There was always that little thought in the back of my mind that I sort of harked back to that conversation. And I thought to myself, how's this all going to pan out? And I'm talking about when it happened the last time under David Moyes. And David Moyes had been there a year or two at that point. And you're sort of also factoring in the fact that it's a new head coach. And I did sort of go, okay, fair enough. So did I sort of like expect to be 14th, 6 defeats out of 13? Didn't expect it, but I did kind of wonder that how long is it going to take for everyone to sort of assimilate into the collective? Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, mate. I was kind of hoping we'd be pushing for European spaces, but even if we didn't qualify for Europe, that would be something that we'd be pushing for. And look, it's not impossible that we could still do it. I mean, I think it's 7th place gets you European football more seasons than not. And there you are. We're 5 points off of that, which is not an insurmountable number. No. There's a lot of football to play, but at the minute, our form is really poor.
Oh, that's it, isn't it? I mean, for Leicester, everybody said to us, and I've got to say, will all these co-commentators that commentate on these matches, first of all, do your history on Leicester? Because the female one that was on the stream that I was doing it yesterday, one of the fact that she was female, but all the information, she was talking so much bullshit. And then you got the likes of Jamie Carragher coming out saying, oh, I think Cooper's doing a very good job. Bollocks, go off and spit at another kid because you've got no idea what you're talking about. I mean, look, our goal this season was to finish 17th. And people say, well, look, you're 16th and you've not been in the bottom three, sort of, all season, sort of, or maybe at the start. Why are you unhappy? Now, at the start of the season, we expected anything from -6 to -12 points. So we got off that. So we're on a level playing field. And we, when we look at our form, we've won 2 games this season, Bournemouth and Southampton. It was 1-0 against Bournemouth, and to be quite honest with you, our best defender that day was the woodwork. I mean, how
teams on the south coast. It's just a shame that Portsmouth aren't a Premier League club. Then
exactly. This is it. We've got Brighton in a couple of weeks, so fingers crossed.
There we go.
And then Southampton, who are probably the worst team. Well, they are the worst team in the division because they're at the bottom of the league. But they were 2-0 up against us and should have been out of sight, to be honest with you. And we only won it in the sort of 98th minute or whatever it was. So our 2 wins haven't exactly inspired confidence. And the problem is that the teams below us, all four of them, have started to play better. You look at Southampton, they nearly got something at Liverpool, Ipswich, they got the draw against, Man United with their new manager. They beat Spurs, Palace, are slowly getting up and to do it. And Wolverhampton, let's be honest, they took 4 Bournemouth like this, past Fulham. Sorry, they lost to Bournemouth yesterday, and that was the problem. We weren't improving. We didn't see any improvement, but the teams around us and below us were improving, and that's why he had to go. You know what I mean? Because we knew we were going to be sort of caught up and taken. But I'm surprised this guy hasn't gone. are you surprised? Are you glad? I mean, they always say, don't they, when you sack a manager, you've got to replace him with somebody who's better. Is he better?
Again, I did sort of say to people that when he come in, and let's just back the truck up just for a moment, if I may, because there's a lot of people out in the mainstream media that are obviously very good friends with David Moyes and all the rest of it, that are sort of like going, oh yeah, I bet you'd like to have David Moyes back now, sort of thing. They're relishing in it, but you know, just because you could have been the most ardent fan that was Moyes out, tried and tested. That is your sort of viewpoint. But that didn't necessarily mean to say you was Lopetegui in. Yeah. So you could be Moyes out, and you might have been, because there were protests about this guy. There was quite a lot of noise about, we're not too sure this is the right move, all the rest of it. But he came in, and obviously you have the club doing its little bit of political maneuvering and putting out videos where he goes to Rush Green and he's meeting with George Earthy, this, that, and the other. Look, I believe that was absolutely put in place. That wasn't something that just happened organically. But whatever, the manager comes in, he signed on the dotted line, and for me, from that point on, you support the manager. Yes. I want every manager that comes in and represents West Ham to do well, because if the manager does well, the team's doing well. It's not rocket science. But he's come in, and the one concern I always had was that I think that there was a lot of West Ham fans that were sort of like going a bit misty-eyed, and he's managed Real Madrid and he's managed Spain and all of that. And I sort of sat there and I thought, well, just a couple of things with that. The last guy that we had in that was a former Real Madrid manager, that didn't work out too well, and his name was Manuel Pellegrini.
Yeah.
So there was that one. There was also the fact that, and I've not studied his career sort of like under a sort of like a fine tooth comb or anything like that. But I just sort of like, I remembered that when he was the manager of Spain, and they were coming up, and I can't remember if it was, I think it was the World Cup in 2018, if I remember correctly, where he was the manager going into the tournament. And as the tournament approached, it became known that he'd signed a contract at Real Madrid.
That was him.
Yeah, so he'd signed a contract at Real Madrid, and the Spanish Footballing Federation weren't too happy about it, and they kicked him into touch in lead up to that competition. They got rid of him. He then obviously gets the gig at Real Madrid, last 14 matches. Now, that in and of itself, that can happen, because Real Madrid, they're either sort of like, they're either red hot or they're stone cold, and nothing in between. And obviously, when he walked in the door, they were stone cold. Yeah. Then obviously he rocks up at Wolves. Everybody sort of says about, he did magnificent things at Wolves. And I sort of sit there and I go, well, to be fair, it was kind of hard for him to be any worse than what had preceded him, because they were rock bottom when he walked in the door. So it's like, right, well, the only way is up. They can't go any further down than rock bottom of the Premier League. He gets them to a sort of like a relatively safe, I think it was 13th, whatever. Then there was the bust up. He leaves there, and he's out of work for a year. He comes in. Sorry, Tone. I do apologise. He comes in at West Ham, and like I say, there were some people that were looking at this, Real Madrid, Spain, or, the fact that he's won a Europa League with a squad that was essentially Unai Emery's, but he did win Europa League. That is a fact. So, okay, you got to give him sort of thumbs up for that.
Yeah.
But I sat there and I went, don't anyone be fooled into thinking that this is Pep Guardiola 2.0, although it's not going too well for him at the minute. But
No.
But anyone that was thinking this was sort of like a slightly sort of budgety version of Pep Guardiola, I was like, look, he is going to have more possession than David Moyes, who was quite happy to have 30% possession there or thereabouts and play completely counter-attacking football. But he will not be free-flowing, front foot, swashbuckling, buccaneering football. You know, Kevin Keegan's sort of Newcastle of around about 95, 96. It's not going to be that. It's going to be a little bit more pragmatic. And so it's proved, you know, yes, our possession stats are better, but so many times I'm watching, Chris, and it's going back, it's going sideways, it's going forward a bit, sideways again, back a bit, and it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake, just get it forward, will you, please? He's been very frustrating to watch, I've got to say. His style of football has not been significantly better than his predecessor.
Oh, what they say, don't mention the P word. I said it once, but I think I got away with it.
Sorry.
No, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. I have to say, like I say, when I looked at the teams around us, and this was the worry with Steve Cooper for us when we bought this guy in. I don't know if he realised what sort of a job he had on his hands. If he didn't, he does having sat through that debacle at the weekend. But when you look at the teams that are around us, we're thinking like, well, if we hold off sacking our manager, as we did with Brendan Rodgers, we ended up with Dean Smith. Nothing against Dean Smith, but it was a choice of one, basically. You know, there wasn't a lot left. Oh, there's him and Jesse Mars, but like I say, a choice of one. So we looked at sort of teams around us. Well, Southampton could sack their manager. In fairness, Ipswich won't sack their manager. If they go down, McKenna will still be there, and quite rightly so. Wolves looked possible, but then they've had a couple of good results now under Gary O'Neill up until this weekend.
Yeah, we played them a week on Monday.
Yeah, we played them, I think, to the game before Christmas. Palace could very easily sack their manager. There's talks about Everton possibly sacking the manager when they move into the new stadium, and West Ham. I thought, you know, things are going that wrong for you. And the funny thing is, my Iceland delivery man is a West Ham fan. And, I know it's a tenuous link, but you know, he comes every time we have a chat about football. He has his West Ham bobble hat on now that it's winter, and his attitude was, well, you know, Moyes had to go, but Lopetegui isn't probably the right man. And that was, I think, certainly Top's worry, and certainly the fans worried that if we didn't make a quick decision on Cooper, and everybody sort of said, well, was it too soon? You know, did he have enough time? Like I say, we're actually a third of the way through the season now. I mean, that's scary to think, but it's true. We are, 13 games, third of the way through the season. Making the change now, because I thought it would happen during the 2-week international break. I have to say, I'm pretty sure that they were speaking to Ruud van Nistelrooy during the break. Because, it took us 3 weeks to get Cooper in. It's taken us 5 days to get Ruud van Nistelrooy in. I'm sorry, you don't suddenly turn around that quick. So I think, once that Steve Cooper had gone, I think the job was there, and then I say it was all finalised. But he has got a job. I mean, I must admit, he did well at PSV. It's 10 years since he's been retired, and I didn't realise it was that long. But, in those 10 years, he's been at PSV, which is sort of just down the road from where he lives. And you can see I've watched the interviews, can't you? And he's worked his way from the youth and go through, all the under 17s, 19s, 21s. And, of course, he won a cup with them last year. Or a shield and a cup, I should say.
Yeah.
And then whether he fell out with the board or not, I don't know. But he turned Burnley down, went to Manchester United as their assistant manager. And let's be honest with you, it wasn't a bad job interview, beating us twice in the 4 games that he had. 8-2, I think it was, on goals over the 2 games. But when you look at Man United have underperformed this season.
Yeah.
For the players that they've got, their underperformance is probably worse than yours, worse than ours, because you'd expect a lot more of them. What he got out of that team in those 4 games was amazing. And you could argue, well, he only played Leicester, but still had to beat us. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't our 5-2 in the cup wasn't that bad. What are your thoughts? Were you surprised that Cooper went as quick as he did, knowing what had happened at Forest, and B, surprised that it was Rude that came through the door?
I think it's difficult for me. You'll have to forgive me. I've not watched every one of Leicester's games.
No, I wouldn't expect you to be fair.
No, it's difficult. If obviously we spoke before we hit go live, and you've obviously studied West Ham. You've studied Leicester this season a lot closer than I have. I've seen snippets here and a match there and one whatever. And I said to you, was it too soon? And you were like, absolutely not. So I'll take that on board, because you've got an awful lot more knowledge on it than I've got. As an outside observer, I sort of sat there and thought, but that is Premier League football. It's one of those. Rude coming in, I don't know how I feel about it. It's one of those where, my brother. You alluded to obviously comments that my brother made on the Arsenal preview, but it's like, to be honest, I kind of get what he's saying. I sort of, he turned around and said, well, Dutch managers aren't, they don't really sort of do too well in the Premier League, and I sort of retorted with Arne Slot.
Yeah,
and he sort of, he said, yeah, well, you're always going to get one outlier.
Yeah.
But then I do sort of like sit back and go, because he turned around and said, well, for every Arne Slot, you've got to factor in a Frank de Boer or an Eric Ten Hag. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I sort of sit there and go, yeah, he's probably got a point. By and large, Dutch managers have not exactly set the world alight in the Premier League. Is Rude going to be the exception that proves the rule? I don't know. He did very well at PSV when he was there, but the Eredivisie and the Premier League, they're incomparable.
They are. And I look at Cooper and think, well, before he went to Brighton, and the current Brighton manager, they were both managing abroad at what we would call not so good division. For me, the thing the appointment of Ruud van Nistelrooy does, when we got relegated a couple of seasons ago, the club was on its arse. The fans we slept walked into that, and we beat you on I think it was the last day, but we were down because Everton couldn't beat Bournemouth or something like that. We shouldn't have left it in anybody else's hands, but we were so down, and then we're thinking, right, start of the next season, who's coming in, what's it going, blah blah blah, and then suddenly from left field, Enzo walks through the door, and we're looking at him thinking, wow, and without even thinking, like, well, what's his managerial record like? It was like that. He had that pep dust sprinkled on him, and we were looking at a guy who 6 days before he walked into the club was holding the Champions League trophy, with Pep. And it gave us that buzz that we needed. It didn't matter that he'd only been manager at 12 games at Parma. We don't care. It was this guy. And Rude is very much in that. Moyes, let's be honest with you, he's one that a lot of Leicester fans wanted. I did a thing where there's 10 presenters on this and a couple of other channels, and one of them went for Mourinho, 3 went for Potter, 3 went for Ruud van Nistelrooy, and 3 went for Moyes. And I think everybody, and me included, can understand Moyes. It would have been a safe pair of hands. He'd have probably kept us up. Boring to watch, but he would have kept us up. But his appointment would not have got the excitement around the club, and I've seen all the shows that all the channels have been doing, that this guy has created by his signing. And that's what the club needed, that excitement. If we go down, and God, I hope we don't, because if we do go down, I think it'll be 10 years before we come back up again, because the EFL are waiting for us with transfer embargoes and business plans, etc. But I do feel a little bit more happy about Rude keeping us up. And again, he's only got to get us to keep us in 17th place. But at least we'll have gone for it. Do you know what I mean? We'll have, and that was the thing. If we hadn't gone up under Enzo, at least we went for it. And that's, I think, what the appointment gives to us. It gives us excitement and a belief. And my God, we need that at the moment around our club. Now, looking at the form here, our home form here, and bear with me because my eyes aren't what they used to be. So let me just get it onto this screen and go a little bit bigger. There we go. Leicester are in 17th at home. I mean, our form is crap home and away, so you don't need to worry about that. But your away form is actually not bad. You're 10th in the away form table. 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses.
Yeah, we was unbeaten up till the point we played Tottenham at their place, so we won't talk about that one.
No.
But yeah, I mean, we've actually been slightly better, I would say, away from home. Newcastle, we get the win. We've been at home. I mean, we beat Palace away, drew with Brentford, drew with Fulham. So away from home, we've actually not been too bad as you've got there for away sort of results. We're 10th in the form table, if you will. But yeah, it's so yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But I mean, as you put there, your home form is not the best.
No.
So I don't know. I mean, it could go. It's one of those, mate. You wouldn't be surprised. I don't think you'd look at this and go, "There's one team out of Leicester or West Ham that's an overwhelming favourite over the other one." It's going to be pretty tight, I would suspect.
Yes, yeah. Like you say, it could be 0-0. It could be 6-6 the way our defences are at the moment. For me, I'm glad it's at home, to be honest with you. Like I say, it doesn't really make much difference why I put Leicester up there because, like I say, it's shit home and it's shit away.
Yeah.
But with it being Rude's first game, there hopefully will be that buzz around the stadium when he walks out, and hope that will obviously emanate hopefully from the fans into the players. Although I'm not sure an electric fucking shock would get our players excited. If they couldn't do it for the new manager when he's watching from the stands, I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit worried because the players have been in today. And one of my co-hosts, Brad, you remember Brad probably.
Yep.
He watches all the training videos, and he said he's really had them attacking and doing and practicing that. That's not necessarily the worry. The worry is the defending, to be honest. But he's only got literally 2.5 days. So he's got today, he's got tomorrow, and possibly a little bit on Tuesday because we're at home. He might be able to do something Tuesday morning. It's not got that long. I'd have preferred this midweek game to be next midweek, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd probably go along with that one, Chris. Is it 8:15 kickoff, isn't it?
It is 8:15 on Amazon. If you've got Amazon Prime at all,
might do, or it might have some other route.
Well, those other routes are available, of course, but we can't mention them.
No, because apparently they're not legal in this country. But
no.
Any policeman watching?
If there is,
no, I'm a law-abiding citizen, Your Honour.
Yeah.
No, I have got Amazon Prime. I'm pulling your leg.
I've got Amazon Prime as well, and I've just gone mad at Amazon because when they deliver to me, they never deliver it to my door. They always leave it at the bottom of the stairs. Which is not what you pay Amazon Prime for.
But you're lucky that they sort of like deliver it to sort of like even the right postcode there or thereabouts.
I've got to say though, I'm quite happy when they don't deliver it properly because I ring up and demand a refund, even though I've got the goods. and
it never turned up.
Well, yeah, no, I'd say it's here, but you are not offering the service I'm paying for. So I've got my 13 quid back for the diary I bought, plus a £5 gift voucher. So
bonus.
Yes, I've had about 10 items free this year. Anyway, hi to Cyber Leader. How you doing? It's been a while. Welcome along. And he's saying hello to Mr. Gates. David says, Buzz was amazing from appointment until around 3:38. Yeah, indeed. waiting for the comments from Know-It-Alls saying Emery should be sacked as they lost 3-0 to Chelsea and we only lost 2-1. Not in here, but on BBC, have your say. Yeah. Right. Now then, looking at your team,
Must we?
And you remember Danger Mouse, won't you?
I do. It was David Jason was the person that lent his voice to it.
It
And
was.
Terry
Wasn't
Scott
he?
was
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah. That was when TV was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Danger Mouse.
Load of old crap now.
Oh, indeed. Oh, we're just old, which was one of the two.
Got to be careful of offending everybody, you know.
So you have.
Yeah.
If they brought
I'm vegan.
Yeah. If they brought Danger Mouse back, he wouldn't necessarily be that colour. But anyway, moving on. Danger Man rather than Danger Mouse.
Danger Person.
Danger. Well, exactly.
Again, you've got to be careful, Chris. You know, they don't call it a man of the match award now, mate. It's a player of the match. Have you noticed this?
Yes, I know that is very, very true. But then, of course, saying person, you've then got to think which gender.
Yeah.
You know, as Piers Morgan, let's go for a Danger Penguin.
You know what I don't get, right, is they make this big sort of song and dance about men's football and women's football, and yet you're not allowed to say man of the match or woman of the match. And I sit there and go, this is bollocks.
Is it? Look, I'm of an age. I'm not going to be around much longer, thank God. But I think the world is just going woke. It really is.
It's going
really
mad.
Mad, I tell you, mad. I mean, you'll remember Love Thy Neighbour and Alf Garnett.
I do.
I do. And what
and
nobody ever got
they was having a wind up at the people that they were, because Alf Garnett sort of like Warren Mitchell turned around and sort of said that basically it was a sort of like a poke of fun against people that he was portraying. So it was like he was having a go at people like Alf Garnett, because it was always he come up short in the end, wasn't it?
He did, and with Love Thy Neighbour as well.
Yeah.
There's always that guy, the main guy, that always ended up looking stupid, you know. Yep. But anyway, we digress, and we'll probably be shut down now. But
cancelled. That's it.
The Danger Penguin. Who have you got? If you've got to pick one man that's going to cause us problems on Tuesday night,
I'm hoping it will be Mohamed Kudus, who's obviously served a 5-game ban for his red card at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in our defeat there. And I'm hoping that he will be the danger man, person, player, whatever.
Yeah.
Vegan. He'll come in and he will. I'm hoping that Lopetegui plays him as a striker. Actually, is what I'm hoping.
5-match ban there.
It was. Yeah. He got 3 games. He got a straight red. He got a 3-game ban for that, and then because he'd sort of like he'd lost his head a bit and started going a bit mental, the Premier League or the FA, whoever it was, slug another 2 games on it. Brilliant.
Wow. I didn't know that. Didn't know that. So if I say he's been out for 5 games, he's obviously will have been, doing training and what have you.
Yeah.
Do you throw him straight back in though, or is he like, is he come on? You do, don't you?
You got. He has to walk straight into that starting 11. If we'd have beaten Arsenal, then I might have understood it. I might have sort of gone, yeah, okay, but no, absolutely not. He walks straight in. For me, he replaces Antonio, not just on the starting 11, but actually positionally. I would play him as the striker. None of this fucking around and putting him on the left and putting him there and sort of he looks like a square peg in a round hole to everyone. Don't put him on the right and then move Jared Bowen as the striker to try and sort of accommodate Kudus on the right. Put Kudus through the middle. Give him license to roam, drop hand grenades, cause chaos. He'll be fresh. He'll have the bit between his teeth. He's got a point to prove. He owes the fans one. So for me, that I think is going to be hopefully quite a big boost to us in the game on Tuesday night.
You're saying about, and I get that totally, about he owes the fans one. you can then though sometimes try too hard. Like, we've got Winetti who's brilliant, and they say never fall in love with a lone player, but well, I'm head over heels, from Brighton. But he always has to take, if there's two sort of go up past two defenders and then pass the ball, he'll go past four and lose it. Because he just tries too hard. Needed that a little bit after coming back from being out. Are you worried that could be the case?
There's always that as a possibility that he might go a little bit too, he might be too wound up. Do you know what I mean? Like what you're sort of describing there. But no, I think that he, like I say, he's got to come straight back into the starting 11. There's no argument about that for me. The argument will probably be where does he come in, what position, and who does he replace? For me, I think it's pretty simple. It's Antonio, and you play him as the striker.
With the red card that he got before, is he easy to wind up? I mean, if one of the Leicester players has a go at him, is he a bit of a hothead?
Do you know what? Up till the Spurs game, I would say the answer to that question would have been no. But I don't know. The thing is that obviously there's all these rumours that apparently it was Kudus and Lopetegui that at halftime in the Brentford game squared up to one another in the changing rooms. And that was the reason why Kudus got hooked at halftime, and also why Edson Alvarez has apparently sort of had a little bit of a fallout with Lopetegui as well, because of course Kudus and Alvarez were teammates at Ajax, so they're quite close.
Yeah,
it's sort of like a little bit of a sort of, you've got a problem with my mates, you've got a problem with me, sort of thing. I don't know, but I'm hoping, like I say, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Kudus can settle down. Whatever the issues were in his head for the Tottenham game, they were just an aberration. They were just a one-off, and we're not going to see that from him again. Aggression is fine so long as it's channeled in the right way.
Yes, yeah. Now, I could be totally wrong here. I know it's unlikely. I know what you're thinking. You wrong, Chris? Never. It has been known. Did I read somewhere that you've changed you're thinking about changing your badge?
Not that I'm aware of.
I thought somewhere that I had watched or read that something was being dropped off it or added to it, or no, I am totally making that up. Then
I don't believe so. I mean, unless you know something I don't.
I don't. You see, that's it. I just seem to remember because I've seen it or read it or heard it somewhere. Look, one of these occasions, look, you were honoured. You were in when I may well have been wrong.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you might be right. I mean, it might be that you've heard a story or you've come across a story that I simply haven't. But again, that wouldn't be a total shock, and there's so many stories out there. It's easy for someone to miss it and not be aware of it. But not that I'm aware of, Chris.
And to be honest with you, half the time as well, it starts as a rumour on some unknown website or social media channel, and it just grows legs, doesn't it? Just having a look here, the most recent change was 2016.
When we went to the London Stadium.
Which makes sense. No, there's nothing online, so there we go. I totally. I must have had a drink or two.
It's allowed.
Can you blame me having to watch this shit week in, week out? It's a wonder I'm not an alcoholic. Lopetegui, what kind of formation and tactics does he like to employ?
In the main, for the most part this season, he's employed a 4-1-4-1 formation. Right. Although the last couple of games he's reverted to a 4-2-3-1 or /4-3-3 formation, but by and large he's been a 4-1-4-1 man, which I thought was quite surprising, because I thought when he came in, I was convinced that he would go to 3 centre backs. And he has sort of dabbled with that on the odd occasion. I mean, there was the game against Chelsea where we had 3 at the back. There was the game against City where he went to a back 3 in the second half. And that actually worked quite well there. And on that occasion, he actually had Edson Alvarez dropping in as a third centre-back. He actually sort of went between, and I think in that game it was Kilman left, Mavropanos on the right. Where it went wrong a little bit against Chelsea, we got absolutely rinsed against Chelsea, and he dropped Alvarez in as a third centre-back, but this time he was on the right of the 3, which didn't quite work out so well. But yeah, like I say, by and large, he's been 4-1, 4-1. But in the last 2 games, he's been 4-2-3-1 / 4-3-3. So I've got a funny feeling that may well be what we see on Tuesday night.
Well, I can't give you any help the other way, because of course we've no idea what Ruud's going to do. It's going to be interesting whether he says, this is my formation, and the players that fit into that formation are the players that will be starting. So I'm not saying, well, because he plays this way that he's going to put somebody in that doesn't fit into that position. That's the sort of thing Steve Cooper would do. Oh, did I say that out loud? But it'd be interesting to know if he does that, or if he says, right, these are the players that they're the best players. I'm going to go with the formation that they, force me into making. So we don't know. It's going to be interesting to see the lineup when it's announced on Tuesday, and we will see. Are you a betting man, Mr. Gates?
Not especially, I've got to be honest, but
well, we do have. You like a little flutter, do you?
Yeah, I mean, look, if it's a cheeky fiver, I wouldn't sort of, put my mortgage on anything. But
No. I certainly wouldn't put my mortgage on Leicester this season.
No.
Always am, to be honest, in fairness. But and we do always, and I have to qualify this by saying, if you are having financial problems, betting is not the answer. And when the fun stops, stop. I get in trouble if I don't. These were the odds on Sky Bet earlier today at 12:30. Leicester, you can get 17-10, 12-5 the draw, 29-20 for West Ham. I think, does that make Leicester slight favourites?
No, I think that makes West Ham slight favourites. I'm doing the mental arithmetic in my head, and I'm pretty sure that 29-20.
Yeah, 1.7 for Leicester and 1.45 for West Ham.
Yeah,
but I don't bet, so I don't know whether that makes you favourites or us favourites.
No, it makes us favourites.
Right,
the odds are shorter.
Yeah, which I can understand. I think we're doing very, very surprised if Leicester were favourites to even put the boots on the right foot, to be honest with you, this season. But there we go. So those are the odds if anybody does think, but do gamble responsibly. But I've got to ask you this. It's that time of the show. Your score predictions, Mr. Gates. You did say at the start you'd be happy with the point.
Yeah, I stand by that, and I don't think either team has it in them to keep a clean sheet.
No.
So I don't see a 0-0, but I would probably go with either a 1-1 or a 2-2. So if I have to pick one of them, I'm going to go 1-1.
1-1. Right. Well, I can't remember what I went, and I just put I'm just going to check my predictions, and I put them into the. We do have a voice deduction, I'm afraid. I've just put here. Sorry, I'm late with putting because I said that to be in earlier in the week, but it is my show, so I can be late if I want to. Look, purely on the fact that it would be. I'm just getting that rude, the new manager bounce sort of feel. If you gave me a point now, that wouldn't be the end of the world. You as a fan must look at this and think, well, this is a game we can win because it's Leicester and where we are. Yeah. And I look at this and think, well, this is possibly a game we could win because you're in the bottom half, so it's one of the teams we have to try and beat. I have gone purely for the fact that it's the new manager bounce, but I have gone 3-1 to Leicester.
Ooh.
I know.
Ooh, that's it. I'm going. I'm not that offended.
I know you're not. I know you long enough. I've known you long enough. I just think, to be honest with you, that a point just wouldn't be enough for us. Because everybody else, like I say, are picking up wins every now and again. So, but can I just say, I may have gone 3-1 to us, but I am bottom of the prediction league. So, what you feel.
Your luck's got to change at some point, though, isn't it, Chris?
It has. I've only got 5 correct scores so far all season. I am doing very well. John Bond has gone 3-2 to West Ham. Fair enough, John. I believe you're a West Ham fan, so I
was going to say there was a John Bond that used to play for West Ham in like the 50s and 60s.
Don't think it'd be him somehow.
No, probably not.
If my memory serves
I think
me,
he's dead actually.
Yeah, I don't think he's a Leicester fan. I could be wrong. I'm to be honest with you, a couple of times this season, because I needed the points in the prediction league, I did actually go for us to lose. We couldn't even do that right. You know, I got us down for 2-0 and we lost 3-0 or something. Typical bloody Leicester.
Let you down all the time.
They do. Hopes for this season for West Ham. Is it sort of, well, you've said Europe's not out the question, but, you know, taking off claret-tinted glasses, what would you be satisfied with this season?
Well, obviously we're out of the League Cup, so that's gone. So I think I've had to reevaluate my sort of perspective on what is a par score, so to speak.
Yeah.
So given where we are at the minute, I think if we can not be involved in a relegation battle from about Christmas onwards, if we can be sort of like mid-table, there or thereabouts, have the odd little flirtation with the upper sort of reaches like 8th, 7th, whatever.
Yeah.
But if we don't qualify for Europe, but if we have a half-decent cup run, and obviously is it tomorrow that the third round draw is made at 7:00?
Yeah.
So if we can have a half decent cup run and not get drawn away against Liverpool, that'd be quite good. But that'd be half decent for me.
And is Lopetegui the man that's still going to take you there, or will he still be your manager at the end of the season?
I really don't know, mate. It could go either way, and I do think it hinges on the next two results and performances for me.
Yeah. That's fair enough. I'll ask you to leave with this answer. Your opinion of us. We got promoted. You know, we got relegated, came straight back up.
Yep.
We broke PSR, FFP, whatever it's called these days, rules, and we hold our hands up to that. But we managed to get out of it. Not illegally. We didn't do anything illegal, otherwise we'd have still been in trouble. We just applied the rules, and unfortunately the Premier League and the EFL between them hadn't worked out that there's this gap from when we got promoted and therefore stopped being an EFL side, and Luton gave us our Premier League share back. Now to me, then that's got, but you know, some club fans have been saying, and I suppose quite rightly, that we wiggled out of it. What's your opinion on all of that?
I'd love to be able to give you an opinion, but the truth of the matter is I don't fully understand all the dynamics, all the rules. I mean, you referenced about you were a Premier League club, then you weren't a Premier League club, then you are a Premier League club again, and there appears to be this sort of crack between the sort of like the rules that are sort of like over here and over here. Yeah. I'm not a sort of like a legal. I'm not a financial expert. So and to be honest with you, that the rules changed because obviously you had financial fair play, FFP, then they've changed it and it's now PSR, profit and sustainability rules.
Yeah.
I'm confused by all of it, mate. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you've got your defence has actually managed to sort of say, argue your case and say that no, that this shouldn't, or the Premier League have sort of like come to the conclusion, okay, there's nothing to see here. I mean, it's not like you was Man City, is it? Where there's 100-odd charges hanging over your head. I mean, if that was the case, you'd be like, oh, good luck getting out of that. You'll need it. But I just think it just always seems to me that and I don't mean to be demeaning when I say this, Chris, but it always seems to be the smaller clubs,
No, I take
the
your
likes
point.
of Leicester,
Yeah,
the likes of Nottingham Forest, the likes
yeah,
of Everton,
yeah,
where there's something that's gone wrong, and the Premier League, bang, can't wait to get the
yeah,
handcuffs on. The
yeah,
moment it's a Chelsea, the moment it's a Man City, it's like, oh, we need to look at this. We need to take our time with this, and basically hope
yeah.
that everybody fucking forgets.
Yes, yeah. No, 100,000 million times, but I agree with you on that. I don't think of us as a big club, even though we know we've won trophies. We are what we are. We know we're never going to be a big six club. We sailed too close to the wind. We tried to do it. Not quite as bad as Leeds, in fairness, but yeah, like you say, it's funny that they can get us, they can get Everton, they can get Forest, and the other club. They can get those through very, very
Yeah,
quickly, but they seem to have to take the time with the big six. But
yeah,
anyway, but look, no, I mean the rules are there to be applied, and we applied the rules, and it
yeah.
got away with it. Otherwise we'd be right up shit creek with our battle right now. I'm
Yeah.
not going to deny it. Look, I hope it is a 3-1. I don't think it will be somehow. That's more in hope. That's this talking rather than this. You know what I mean?
We all
But,
do it, Chris.
yeah, yeah. But no, it's fantastic to see you again, Rob. It's been much too long. Thank you so very much for coming
No
on.
problem.
Like I said at the start, your details are in the link below, and
Cheers, mate.
do appreciate you giving your Sunday up. But again, just give a shout out to your channel.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm from a West Ham fan YouTube channel called the West Ham Massive, as Chris says, that if the link's in the description below, if you wouldn't mind just sort of clicking on that, hitting subscribe, and every now and again just dropping a like on a stream every now and again. I don't expect you to watch all my content. At the end of the day, if you're a Leicester fan, why would what West Ham are getting up to in a game against, I don't know, Nottingham Forest?
Yeah.
Actually, you probably would be interested in
We've
that.
been interested in
You'd
that.
probably be sort of like rooting for us in that one, wouldn't
Oh
you?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
indeed we would. Yes,
Okay,
indeed
probably
we
a
would.
bad choice. So let's go Everton.
Yeah.
West Ham, Everton, a Leicester fan would probably look at that and go, I'm not in the slightest bit interested. So I understand that. But just every now and again, just pop in, drop a like on the odd stream here or there. Every little helps, as an advert once said.
It did indeed. Rob, go and be with your family. Thank you so very much, mate, and all the best for the rest of the season.
And to yourself as well, mate. As I say, I said earlier, and I wasn't trying to do it to be sort of patronising or anything when I sort of referenced Leicester as a smaller
No,
club.
no, I appreciate that.
But it's one of those where Leicester, when you guys won the Premier League, you did the impossible. You did something that was impossible. You made the impossible possible, and you gave clubs like West Ham the ability to look and go, do you know what? One day, maybe what you did was a once in a generation sort of thing.
Yes.
And if you guys can get, you said it earlier about finishing 17th, you take it. I hope you get safety a lot sooner than that. But if it's last day of the season and you stay up by 1 goal, mate, then good luck to you.
Thank you, mate. I really, really appreciate that. All the best, and we'll probably speak for the return game later in the season.
Absolutely, mate. Glad
best.
to be here.
Take care, mate.
Be good.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Thanks there to Rob. Right, let me just rearrange myself. Not my underwear. I'm going to say not rearranging my underwear, but thank you to Rob. That was a very decent of him on a Sunday evening. Look, if you missed this earlier, how bad are this Leicester squad? Me and Brad, we've got our points here. Our school homework has been graded, and we graded all of the players from A down to D, with pluses and minuses in there, and stars for Brad because he's an awkward sod. And we've slipped the odd U in as well. For those of you that are old enough to remember an A-level results when it went A to D and U, that's what we did. It's out if you go on to LTID TV. It's on the first playlist, which is the pick, where it's got all our latest and all our upcoming shows on there, so check it out. But let's just quickly now just have a very quick chat about Leicester. Are you happy with this appointment? I really am. Like I said before, it's going to be interesting to see. And will he take the formation that he prefers? And says, well, all right, he's one of our better players, but he just doesn't fit into this formation, which is what they should do as England manager, really. Have your formation. And, so it might be that, all right, we don't like Luke Thomas, but Luke Thomas fits into that system, if you like. Or does he go, these are my best 11, but they won't fit into my formations. I'm going to swap it over and put it into what suits them. We'll know, won't we? Sort of about 7:15 on Tuesday night when the teams are announced. So, be interesting. What will the team be like? Well, this was the team that line up against Brentford. I mean, we're going to see Hermansen in goal. Faze and Cody. Hope we don't see either of those. Akoli's injured. Will he be back in time? We don't know. But please, not Faze and Cody. Vestergaard, please. Vestergaard. And look, let's get Suter back. I like Suter. I think I'm surprised he hasn't had more chances. Let's get him back. Should indeed he start? Not in a month of Sundays, please. Sumare, yeah. And Thomas, sorry, I forgot about Thomas. I do my best to forget about Thomas. I think his time has gone at Leicester. But look, check out that video earlier for more information. Brenette should obviously be in there. I'd like to see El Canus in there and Skip. And Ayew, look, I like Ayew. He's grown on me. He's dug us out the poo a few times. He's been that paddle that we needed, isn't he? But he's not a 90-minute person. He's not a winger. Bring him on when Vardy gets tired, please. Or bring him on at the start, take him off and put Vardy on. But we're going to find that out, like we said, later. Should he play? I've got to say, and I know I've just said about all the other players, but yes. Look, he hasn't played enough this season for him to give him a rating on the show earlier. But surely we've got to be starting playing the youngsters. How often do we keep saying that this guy is a talent? This guy's going to be better. We should be picking. Honestly, if Wayne Rooney had been at Leicester, he wouldn't have got in the first team yet. And now he's mid-30s. No, he's not quite ready. No. He was playing at 16, for God's sake. And when this guy has been on the pitch, do you know what he's done? He's actually run at the opposition. Thanks so much, Steve. Cheers, buddy. Take care. I just think we've got something, I know Braybook's out on loan, but we haven't loaned this guy out. So what the fuck are we doing with him? Because I tell you what, if you're not going to play him, loan him out. And if you're not going to loan him out, play him. Come on, Rude. So, wake up. Try these players. Because I tell you something, he will give you more effort than Ndidi has done all season. He'll give you more effort in 90 minutes than Ndidi has all season. Sorry, but it's true. Injury news. Look, apart from Salarchik, who we know is injured, so he won't be in, but that's a long term. Fatawu out till the end of the season. Ricardo is injured at the moment. Winks is injured. Will either of them be back? I mean, with Winks, I think we've got a ready-made replacement with Skip, so I'm not too worried about that, if that's the way that Rude's going. Oh, this right back. You can't, please don't play James at the right. Please, 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 please. Yeah. James and Faze together on the right. It's like a conduit, it's so full of holes. Put Chowdhury there if you have to. And stick James on the left. But that's the injury news anyway. And next up after this, it's just a small matter. On the South Coast team again, we are hosting Brighton. And look, Brighton at the moment are flying high. They're fourth. They're above Man City on goal difference. It's scary. They've only lost 2 games all season. That's next Saturday. Is that a free hit? Do we still count these games as free hits? Who knows? But that's who we have up next, Brighton. And of course, we have to remember that Brighton, when we host Brighton, will not be able to play Buenete. He won't be able to play against them. So we're losing one of our, well, I think probably our best player this season will be losing through no fault of his own. And this is what is happening on Tuesday night, 7:30. Join us live for the team news and pre-match analysis. That'll be me and Brad. 8:15, the game kicks off. We'll have the first half watch-along. It's not a commentary game. Don't join me if you're expecting me to do a commentary. Watch the telly for that. Or put the telly up and just join in the chat with us. That's what a lot of people do. Have the telly on for the commentary or the radio. Have me turned down. It's not a bad thing. And just join in with all the comments, etc. I'm not a commentary service. It is a watch-along. There is a difference. Half-time analysis with Brad at 9. Second half at 9:15. Watch-along. Obviously, these are all approximate afterwards because, of course, we don't know regarding stoppage time. And as soon as the match is finished, a couple of minutes after that, we've all had time to go and point Percy. We'll be doing the post-match reaction with Jim from America, and hopefully Wayne will be back. He'll be back. We'll have to wait and see how his internet is. But that's it. And like I say, please don't forget, I've been well, Cyber. Hope you've been well as well. Taking the football out, I have been well. And don't forget, these shows all available under the pick on LTID TV on YouTube. The watch along, the actually announcing Rude was confirmed. Our sponsor, partly being part of the biggest illegal gaming sites scandals in Europe, chatting to Kieran Maguire there, the football finance expert. The preview, of the Brentford game. Let's talk Leicester, the new manager's dilemmas, what Rude could be facing, and a game of two halves. We've changed the manager. Is it time to change the owner? Lux thinks yes. Craig thinks no. I was trying to keep the peace. They are all available. Please do go back and watch it. If you're new, subscribe. Click that like button, please, even if you are already subscribed, and share the video. It's all we can ask. All we can ask. I will be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow night, 7 o'clock for the weekend review. Me and Tom. How was Tom's predictions? Ooh, bottom again, Tom. 7 o'clock tomorrow. Match I'm watching. I will obviously we'll be talking Leicester, Brentford, unfortunately. We'll be talking Liverpool, Man City. That's the game that Tom has been watching. We'll have a couple of video reviews as well from a couple of, I'll tell you what the games are. We're going to have hopefully, if you can get the video over to me, a Brighton fan talking about their draw at Southampton, and a Crystal Palace fan also talking about their draw at Southampton. I didn't really pick the best games there, did I? Typical me. 7 o'clock tomorrow. Be there, be square. And don't forget, if you want to listen to us on a podcast, Spotify, Google, YouTube, we're on all the main podcast platforms as well. Have a good what is left of the weekend. If you're off to watch I'm a Celebrity, get voting for Colleen to do Attack. Well, they don't do that anymore, do they? It's now we're voting to get them out. Get her out. That's what I say. Take care, guys. See you tomorrow night. Thanks, everybody. And thanks to Rob for coming in.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You'd better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.